What have you learned from your leaders? 10 years ago, I was working as a quality supervisor in adult diapers. Just to be clear, in the quality lab, not actually in diapers. When I was offered a job in an automotive startup, my response, get me out of this crappy business. I became employee number 25 out of what would become a plant of 2,500 people. But everything changed when a new plant manager was sent in to help. We'll call him the kicker. The kicker gave the management team a motivational pep talk. If you guys were responsible for putting a man on the moon, it would have never happened because you're all too stupid. I felt like I'd been kicked. Over the next 5 years, 7,000 people left the plant. In the last 20 years, studies show abusive behavior has doubled in the workplace as command and control companies continue to reward bullies' bad behavior in the pursuit of results. Especially since 60% of these toxic bullies are the boss. Why do they act this way? Most say they're too busy to be respectful. This lazy leadership assumes employees are lazy and can't be trusted. Here's a list of management techniques I've seen used by lazy leaders. Yelling, late night phone calls, raised office temperature, reduced desk space, and repeated threats of firing and demotion. Let's review another list. Verbal abuse, sleep deprivation, environmental control, cramped confinement, and controlled fear. These are approved military interrogation methods. These toxic environments affect everyone. During this time, I walked up to Charles, our production manager, and I started yelling at him. Why'd you run those blankety blank parts when I told you not to? Charles replied, Michael, just stop. That's not you. Charles was right. I was becoming someone I didn't respect. Something needed to change. As a problem solver, HR asked me to determine why 7,000 people left. Data indicated they liked the pay, benefits, their coworkers, and even the work environment. Then why would they leave? Too much overtime, bad management, unfair HR, and breaks are just too short. 7,000 people didn't leave because of the carrot, they quit because of the stick. My management reviewed the results and then ignored them. In 5 years, I went from a job I loved to one that made me physically sick and turned me into a lazy leader. Realizing they weren't going to change, I did, becoming employee number 7,001 to leave because of a culture of lazy leadership. They say you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I had spent too much time with abusive leaders who taught me lazy leadership. Hello, my name is Michael, and I am a recovering lazy leader. Thanks to Charles, I realized I needed to change my leadership style, and I found the best leadership model in the world. You guys want to know what it is? The leadership style that helps you manage you. Leadership is like a fingerprint, unique to each leader. As a problem-solving leader, I know you need as many tools in your toolbox as possible before trying to lead others. The cure for lazy leadership is studying diverse styles of leadership to develop your leadership fingerprint. My 96-year-old grandma walked out of her first job because of disrespect from a lazy leader. That was almost 80 years ago. Command and control leadership is so last century. We're in the middle of a generational change in leadership. We need to be the generation to change from the lazy leadership of command and control. Tomorrow's workplace will require innovative leaders different from today's command and control bullies. Let's look at a garage startup for an example. Bobby Edwards told me, "Mother is the necessity of all invention, and my mother was constipated." As a result, Bobby and his mom made a big splash by creating the Squatty Potty, even landing a deal on Shark Tank. I asked Bobby, "What kind of leader are you?" He answered, "I never considered myself a leader until success led to investors who wanted Bobby to implement more control within his company. Luckily, Bobby realized they needed better processes and more people, but they didn't need control. His people were worried the investors would destroy the DNA of Squatty Potty by replacing Bobby. But Bobby trusts his team like family, including opening the financials to the entire company, allowing his family to understand what it takes for Squatty Potty to be successful. The last thing Bobby Edwards told me, that's the kind of company I run." Bobby found his innovative leadership fingerprint by listening to the people instead of controlling them. And now, everything at Squatty Potty is unicorns and rainbows. Who wouldn't want to work for a leader like Bobby? Today, you have all the leadership knowledge in the world at your fingertips. Don't be a lazy leader. Be intentional with learning diverse styles of leadership to prepare for the future. Since we did put a man on the moon, we can find a better leadership model, because creating your unique leadership fingerprint is the cure for lazy leadership.